Romantic passion is thus exactly the reverse of what it pretends to be. It is not abandonment to the other, but an implacable war waged by two rival vanities. The egotistical love of Tristan and Isolde, the first of the romantic heroes, heralds a future of discord. Denis de Rougemont analyzes the myth with great precision and arrives at the truth hidden by the poet, the truth seen by the novelists. Tristan and Isolde, quote, love each other, but each loves the other from the standpoint of self and not from the other's standpoint. Their unhappiness thus originates in a false reciprocity, which disguises a twin narcissism. So much is this so that at times there pierces through their excessive passion a kind of hatred of the beloved. And that, of course, is from Love in the Western World, translated by Montgomery Belgian, New York Doubleday, 1957, page 44. That which remains implicit in the lovers of Thomas and of Bérulle is completely explicit in the Stendhalian novel. Like two dancers obeying the baton of an invisible conductor, the two partners observe a perfect symmetry. The mechanism of their desire is identical. By feigning indifference, Julian is winding up a spring in Mathilde, which is like his own spring, to which the young girl holds the key. Double mediation transforms amorous relationships into a struggle which proceeds according to set rules. Victory belongs to the lover who can best maintain his lie. Revealing one's desire is an error which is only the more inexcusable for the fact that one is no longer tempted to make it once one's partner has revealed his own desire. Julian made this mistake at the beginning of his relationship with Mathilde. He let down his guard for one moment. Mathilde was his. He did not know how to hide from her his happiness. Rather mediocre, it is true, but sufficient to make the Venetus recoil from him. Julian succeeds in reestablishing the situation only by a truly heroic effort of hypocrisy. He must expiate one moment's frankness by a mountain of lies. He lies to Mathilde. He lies to Madame de Fervoix. He lies to the whole de la Mole family. The accumulated weight of these lies finally tips the scales in his favor. The current of the imitation is reversed and Mathilde throws herself into his arms. Mathilde admits that she is a slave. The word is not too strong and it reveals the nature of the struggle. In double mediation, each one stakes his freedom against the others. The struggle ends when one of the partners admits his desire and humbles his pride. Henceforth, no reversal of imitation is possible, for the slave's admitted desire destroys that of the master and ensures his genuine indifference. This indifference in turn makes the slave desperate and increases his desire. The two sentiments are identical since they are copied from each other. They exert their force in the same direction and secure the stability of the structure. This dialectic of master and slave presents curious analogies with the Hegelian dialectic. But there are also great differences. The Hegelian dialectic is situated in a violent past. It exhausts its last force with the appearance of the 19th century and of democracy. The novelistic dialectic, on the contrary, appears in the post-Napoleonic universe. For Stendhal, as for Hegel, the reign of individual violence is over. It must make way for something else. Hegel relied on logic and historical reflection to determine that something else. When violence and the arbitrary no longer control human relationships, then Befriedigung, reconciliation, must necessarily succeed them. The reign of spirit must begin. Contemporary Hegelians, especially the Marxists, still nourish this hope. They have simply postponed the coming of spirit. Hegel, they say, was a little mistaken about the date. He did not take certain economic factors into account in his calculations. But the novelist mistrusts logical deductions. He looks around him, and within him he finds nothing to indicate that the famous reconciliation is just around the corner. Stendhalian vanity, Proustian snobism, and the Dostoevskian underground are the new forms assumed by the struggle of consciousnesses in a universe of physical nonviolence. Force is only the crudest weapon available to consciousnesses, drawn up against each other and consumed by their own nothingness. Deprive them of this weapon, Stendhal tells us, and they will make others such as past centuries were not able to foresee. They will choose new areas of combat, like impenitent gamblers, whom paternal legislation cannot protect from themselves, for with every restriction, they invent new ways of losing their money. Whatever political or social system is somehow imposed on them, men will never achieve the happiness and peace of which the revolutionaries dream, nor the bleeding harmony which scares the reactionaries. They will always get on together just enough to enable them never to agree. They will adapt themselves to the circumstances which seem least propitious to discord, and they will never tire of inventing new forms of conflict. It is the underground forms of the struggle of consciousnesses which are studied by the modern novelists. If the novel is the source of the greatest existential and social truth in the 19th century, it is because only the novel has turned its attention to the regions of existence where spiritual energy has taken refuge. The triangle of desire has interested hardly anyone but vaudevillists and novelists of genius. Valeria was right in associating one with the other, but he was wrong when he drew from this promiscuity, so scandalous in his eyes, an extremely bourgeois and academic argument against the novel. In the final analysis, Valeri's agility and the positivist clumsiness result in the same obtuseness when confronted with the novelist's truth. This need not surprise us, since both sides are concerned with defending the myth of their own autonomy. Solipsistic idealism and positivism wish to recognize only the solitary individual in the collectivity. These two abstractions are no doubt flattering to the self, which wishes to view everything from on high. But one is just as hollow as the other. Only the novelist, precisely to the extent which he is capable of recognizing his own servitude, gropes toward the concrete, toward that hostile dialogue between self and other, which parodies the Hegelian struggle for recognition. The two themes of phenomenology of the mind which particularly interest contemporary readers are the, quote, unhappy consciousness, end of quote, and the, quote, dialectic of master and slave, end of quote. We all have a vague feeling that only a synthesis of these two fascinating themes could throw light on our problems. That original synthesis, impossible in Hegel's system, is precisely what the novelistic dialectic permits us to glimpse. The hero of internal mediation is an unhappy consciousness who relives the primordial struggle beyond all physical threat and stakes his freedom on the least of his desires. The Hegelian dialectic rested on physical courage. Whoever has no fear will be the master. Whoever is afraid will be the slave. The novelistic dialectic rests on hypocrisy. Violence, far from serving the interests of whoever exerts it, reveals the intensity of his desire. Thus it is a sign of slavery. Mathilde's eyes shine with joy when Julian seizes a rapier from the wall of the library. Julian notices her happiness and prudently puts down the weapon whose decorative role is symbolic. In the universe of internal mediation, at least in the upper regions, force has lost its privilege. In the universe of internal mediation, at least in the upper regions, force has lost its prestige. The elementary rights of individuals are respected, but if one is not strong enough to live in freedom, one succumbs to the evil spell of vain rivalry. The triumph of black over red symbolizes this defeat of force. The crumbling of Napoleon's empire and the inauguration of a reactionary and clerical regime are the signs of a metaphysical and social revolution whose influence is incalculable. His contemporaries did not understand that. Beginning with the red and the black, Stendhal rose above partisan quarrels. Have we understood it yet?